Alright everyone, welcome to conversion tutorial of SL Fusion 5.8, and we have two aircraft. We have the F-16 and the CN-235. Now, I actually recorded this conversion, but I forgot to have my audio in it because something happened, I forgot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we'll be using the F-16 and the CN-235 for the conversion. So I just do some talking here probably. Alright, so we're gonna do a little skipping here. Okay, so for the first part I talk about the plugin, the Create Motor6D plugin, and I also mentioned that if you have an aircraft that you've already converted, you should do these steps on the right. So as you can see, I'm like deleting some things. And this is if you already have an aircraft that is converted with SL Fusion. So these are the steps that you should be following. So I do some deleting here and so on. So for now, just like look what's going on. Basically, the things that I delete are like scripts and some of the parts of the main parts that I delete. So these will not be needed. We'll just basically grab them from the F-16. So there won't be anything here that we need. So anything I delete here, you should also be deleting it for your aircraft. I talk about the animations. So really I don't have to talk here. Just watch the video and see what's going on, see what I'm deleting. And this is basically what you should do. It's kind of funny because like there is no audio and it's just I'm just like moving my mouse and trying to explain it, but so I'm gonna skip through this part. So basically just follow what's going on here. I will drop the video below about this thing. This is just like a voiceover that I explain some of the things. So yeah, I delete the animation parts. Okay, then I move on to here. So I explained that if your aircraft has a canopy, then you should keep the A1 part because that will have the canopy sounds. But for the CN-235, there is no canopy, so you won't be needing that at all. Now I just deleted the main play model for the F-16. Okay, so that's what you will have to do for like when you start converting. And basically once you have deleted those, you also delete the animation parts stuff. Here I start naming the flaps, the ailerons, and the elevators. So basically I start naming them and I put them where they belong. So again, you also have to do that for these parts. I think I'm gonna skip here as well. I just do some naming. So the propellers go here and the animation parts. And then I don't know if I do any naming. Just follow these steps and you'll be fine. I put the ramp in there. So basically anything that's moving goes inside the animation parts. So let's go. Ramp is there. I explain what this is. So in this video, like I explained that 1 and 2 are the ramps. So you know how it has like two moving parts for the ramp, one at the bottom, one at the top. So think of it like a C-130. You know how the ramp opens from the bottom and from the top. So that's what I'm explaining. And this ramp part is basically it's basically the ramp. Like once you lower it down, you can like make it visible through or something else, something like that. So that's that. Okay, I grab the rudder. Okay, I talk about the gear here. So we'll be animating the front gear for this video. And I basically explain that you just grab the front gear and you put them inside the gears model. That's basically what I do here. Oh, okay. One thing here, you have to put this value inside the front gear. Okay, so these three values will be put here inside the gears. So make sure you do that. Yeah, I think I explained that there. Alright, so I do the animation here. I mean the welding. So you can just watch the video to see how that works. Or maybe actually let me explain. Let me see where I do it. Okay. Well, anyways, okay, I'll explain that later. So let's go here. Okay, so this AGM subject look in AGM subject. So this is basically the air-to-ground missile targeting pod camera controls. So what I explain here is that this little block part is how you will, see the targeting pod. So from the AGM subject is where the camera will be placed, and AGM subject look is where you will be facing the camera. And now here I mentioned that when you're moving these two parts, you have to move them together. So look, I selected 4 of them. You see that? I selected rotate, rotate B, and actually, let me pause the video so that I explain that. Let me do that again. Okay, see, look. I selected these two, and they have to move together, okay? You cannot just move one of them and have the other one move later. You have to move them together, okay? That's important. That's basically what I explained. Okay. So I talk about the explosives. These are the hit parts of the aircraft. And I talk about the MFD model. Here, just a quick information. So these are the screens. So AM screen, AGM screen, CCIP screen, so on. So inside open, there will be something called attachment. I don't know if I show that in the video. Oh, see, look, I briefly showed it there. So what you want to do is you just want to like drag these over to the cockpit of the aircraft, and once you have done that, you just have to do some like placement stuff on it. Now for this aircraft, there is no pylon screen, HUD screen, or air-to-air screen, air-to-ground screen. So for these screens, just place them somewhere that no one can see. So I think I placed them at the top of the aircraft. Here I talk about the buttons, I think, a bit more. See, look, you see that? There's like attachment. So that's the part that you will be clicking on for, to get the screens turning on and so on. So you don't have to do anything here. You just like place them where they need to be. So I'm gonna skip this part. Alright, here I talk about what these are. These are basically just like UIs, okay? They're not anything important. I think it will just show in the video as well that they're not important. I talk about the other need. I will mention this later. Here it's not that, important. It's just I briefly talk about what Adorni is and what it's used for. So just know that these little parts here, they're just screens, okay? They're not anything important, just screens. Obviously, don't delete them. You still should have them. If you're not gonna use them, just hide them somewhere, okay? So here I explain what they are. Okay. And I see, look, I put them somewhere here where it cannot be seen. So. And I waste a lot of time on this. I don't know why. So I do some more placement. So these are the battery light, fuel pump light, generator light. You will need those, so put them in your cockpit. It will just basically indicate like what they are and what they do. Here is the ident. That's not important. Just put it somewhere where it cannot be seen. So the serial, this is the serial number of the aircraft. Put that on the tail. I also showed that in the video that you should put it in the tail. I talk about the pre-flight models. Okay, I waste a bit more time here talking about them. Yeah. Okay, now I talk about the afterburner. So now this aircraft does not have an afterburner. So what you have to do is you have to go to beam and beam A and just make sure that they're not enabled. So just like disable them, as well as for the particles, disable them. Now I check here in script to like confirm what I just said, but that's all you have to do. And here I explain, if your aircraft has two jet engines, all you have to do is just copy the afterburner and duplicate it and just put it to the side. That's all you have to do. There's really nothing else. Here I also confirm that in the script. You don't have to understand anything here. And then now I talk about the contrails. The CN235 doesn't have any of these, so I just say, just put them on there, disable them, and that's all you have to do. There's really nothing else you have to do. Like, just put them on, disable them, and they won't even be seen on the aircraft. So let's go. Yeah, I turn them off here. Nice. The pitch one screen that goes on the cockpits. Don't have to really talk about that. The screens, okay, I just talk about like putting them there, but then it looks ugly, so I just hide them. Stabilize, that just goes in front of the cockpit. No, it doesn't have to be anywhere important. Just like put it somewhere there, and it's good to go. Sonic boom. This aircraft does not have sonic boom. V1, V2 goes on the wingtips, and the wind. That wind part is a sound, so I place it in the middle of the aircraft. But you should place that in the cockpit. If your aircraft is like a small aircraft, then put it in the cockpit. If it's a big aircraft, then put it where everyone can hear it, because this is a sound that everyone can hear. So let's continue. Okay, I talk about those parts. They're not important. The spawner part, that's for the spawner, okay? You need to set the primary part to your model. Now, if it's already set, then you don't have to do anything. But if it's not set, then you have to do it. But if you use the F16 to convert, it will be set automatically, so you don't have to do anything. You just convert it, and it works. So here I talk about the aircraft values, MA values, the camera positions. Now, one thing that's important to note here is that the cam cockpit is what the pilot will see, okay? And the weapons officer cockpit camera is what the co-pilot will see. So I also mentioned that here, that's how it works. But that's all you need to know about that part. So I do some placement. These cam subject 1, cam subject 1 look, they're just camera positions. Think of the AGM subject and AGM subject look. Think how that works. It's the same thing. So the subject is where the camera is placed, and subject look is where the camera will be facing towards. So if you want to do like, different camera positions of the aircraft, then that's how it works. I think you press P to check that out. Here are the pylons. If you want to create a new pylon, all you have to do is just duplicate one of the existing pylons and name it P9. So right now it's P8, right? So the next number that comes after 8 is 9, so you have to name it P9. And you have to make sure that... Okay, let me see where I explain that. I'm still waiting. Did the video froze or something? No, okay. I'm probably explaining the same thing I just explained here. Let me skip. Okay, look. So guided time is how long it will take the missile to go to its target. So how much fuel time it has. Okay, and you can make that like a larger number or smaller number depending on how you want your missile to work. Same thing for the other ones as well. I think I explained. Okay, yeah, I explained the unguided bomb is called blast radius, and it's the same with the AGM-65. You have a guided time. And here I talk about this armed value. So if you have the aircraft armed, if the pylon is armed, you need to check that value on. Okay, if it's not armed, then you need to check it off. Right now it's armed because it has a missile. Now I deleted the missile. So now you have to check that armed value off. I don't know if I do that. Oh, here I also tell you how to create like preloaded aircraft. So you just name it spawn AGM-65 and then you like change their transparency. Now this is different for each one. So for example, for AIM-9X, it will be spawn AIM-9 if you want to create a new missile. And you have to make sure you change the values of the ammo values. I changed it to 3, then I changed it back to 2 because there's 2 of them. So you have to just increase it every time you do it. And here I talk about them, like unguided bomb, yeah, and spawn AIM-9, so I just delete them all. And then after I've done all of that, I make sure that the armed value is set to false. So now you'll see that it's set to false. Okay, that's for the pylons. Let's see what I'm talking about next. Oh yeah, also you have to set those values to 0. Alright, here I talk about the sounds. So you have sound source behind and sound source front. It's pretty, I mean, I don't have to explain anything about this. It's just, where they should be. Sound source front is at the front. Sound source behind is at the back of the aircraft. And I talk about the motor sounds here. So we have a G1. So F-16 has only one motor, but this aircraft has 2 motors. So what I do here is I drag the G1 and G2 from the previous model and I put it inside here. Now, if you don't have these G1 and G2 parts, all you have to do is just copy G1, duplicate it, and name it G2, and you're done. That's it. That's all you have to do. There's really nothing else. But here I already had these, so I didn't, do that. So I'm checking it out still. Okay, I don't think it's important anymore. Okay, I check the sounds. Okay, here. I don't know what I'm doing there. Okay, so here I have volume limit. So put this in the sound that you want its limit to be increased to. So right now default is 1. But if you have a audio that you want it to be louder, then you set the volume limit to, let's say I set it to 2 in this case. And it will listen to the volume limit instead of the actual volume of the default audio. Now here I talk about this disable value here. You put that if you don't want that sound to be heard from the cockpit. So if there's like a sound that you don't want to hear while you're flying the aircraft, then you put that disable value inside the sound and it will work. Alright. Okay, now I talk about the weapons officer seat. Here I mentioned that the weapons officer seat of the transport aircraft is different from the one in the F-16, and I tell you that this will be sorted when I release the update. So that's what I'm saying right now as well. It will be sorted when I release the update. So don't worry about this part. There will be only one weapons officer seat. So you can also use it as a a co-pilot seat or a weapons officer seat. So that will depend on you. Here I talk about the gear folders. Okay, that's really easy. I talk about the lights. Nothing new. Okay, here I talk about the motor. So here are the motor animation parts, but you will also need the motor parts itself. And I deleted it here, but if you do have a motor and you want it to be animated, then what you have to do is you have to get the motors here, and you have to select the motor parts itself, and you need to move it together if you want to use it. Just like think about it how I use it with the AGM subject and the rotate part. So I basically move those 2 parts together. So that's what you have to do. Okay, if you don't understand, go back in the video where I mentioned about the AGM subject and the rotate parts, and that I move them together, and you will understand again what I mean. If you still don't understand what I mean, then you can DM me, or you can just tag me in the Discord, and I will answer what I mean. Here we talk about the animation part. I delete them basically, but you don't have to do that. But it is important that the animation parts are called what they are. So like here it's called RDR. Okay, it's important that it's called RDR in your model as well. Okay, so the animation part needs to be called RDR. If you don't understand what I'm saying right now, which I hope you do understand what I'm saying. What is going on? Oh, okay. I'm explaining about what pivot means. Alright, so yeah, I talk about how a door works and what a pivot is and what a hinge is. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so I explained this in the video, but my audio is not here. So let me explain. This RDRB is the hinge, basically the pivot point. This RDR is the animation part that will be turning, okay? So that's what you have to know. That's what I explained there. And where was I? Yeah. So make sure the animation part name is the same as the one in the video. So RDR, for example, for rudder, and for like flaps, it's something else, like right flap, left flap. I don't know what it's called. See, look, for gear, it's called gear with capital letters. So make sure those names are set correctly. Okay. So see, look, left flap, right flap. Make sure those are the same. All right, and then let me see what I'm doing. Okay, I do that. So basically I explain where to put these parts. So you have to put it where the hinge is at. So the hinge for the flap is there, so that's why I put it there. Okay. How do I know where the hinge is? You might ask. Well, I explained that by giving the door expression. So where is the hinge of the door? It's at the, how do you call it? Like at the start of. Okay, just think of a door and think of where the hinge is. That's basically how it works. Okay, think of the flap as a door, and think of the hinge as where the door hinge of the door will be. Okay, it's it's not too hard. Yeah, I forgot to do the elevators. I think here. Canopy. What is going on? Okay, this here I explained that in the update that I released, it won't be inside this model called cockpit. It will be called like ramp. Okay, and it will be like inside this rudder stuff model. So that's basically what I mentioned here. And when I give you this model, you'll see what I mean. So don't worry about this part. Okay, so I moved those as well. Okay. These come with the aircraft anyways, so all I do is just put them inside main parts. And then I delete that. Yeah. Alright, those are like the lights and alarm lights. Nothing too fancy. That's the platform welding. Oh, okay, here I do it. Alright. Nice. So, let me tell you what these are. So A3 is the panel that you get when you're trying to enter the aircraft. This air target part needs to be behind the player. So I put it somewhere there. It doesn't have to be like exact, just like put it somewhere there. Air to air connect is for air to air refueling. Engine, I put that where it needs to be. Intake, so for intake, if you have two engines, you can put it on the two engines, but I also mentioned that the intake has a performance cost. So if you want to have that performance cost, then you can have the intake. It's just one while true do loop, so that's why I'm saying it has a performance cost. Like if you don't mind having one more loop in your game, then do it. It's not gonna be like a huge difference, but when there's like 100 players in the game, it will start taking some performance cost with it. So that's what I mentioned. The gun, okay, just put it where the cannon is of the aircraft. Heat is the flares. Okay, and I put the intake there. Apparently that's where I put it. Okay, that's not where it is actually, but sure. Plane mass, I will mention what this is later. Refuel connect is where you fuel the aircraft. So I'm trying to find where it is. Okay, I'm gonna skip. Let's see what I do here. Switches. Okay, this part is important. Okay, listen to me in this part very, very carefully, because this is the hardest part of the conversion. It's the switches. Okay, so right now I'm explaining what they are. So right now I'm gonna put the battery one at the top of the panel. Okay, and then you basically do the rotation as well. Okay, nice, nice, nice. And then now I say, well, okay, what about the other buttons like battery 2, generator 1, generator 2? What about those ones? Am I going to do the same thing? And I say here, no, you don't have to do the same thing. But notice, guys, notice this is very important. Okay? and I didn't mention this. Notice how I'm holding battery 1 part, and I'm holding the battery 1 model at the same time. See, look, I'm holding the battery 1 model as well at the same time. Okay, that is very, very important. If you don't do that, then the motor will be removed, and then you'll just like the animation will be messed up. Okay, so make sure you move those together. Okay, that is the most important part of the switches. So that's what I do here. And then I say, well, you don't have to move battery 2 all the way up there because, well, it's going to take forever like this. So what I tell you is that since they're the same switch, I mean, they have the same model, I tell you to delete the battery 2 part and the model. Then I tell you to copy the battery 1 model and the battery 1 part, and then duplicate it and put it to the side. And then what I tell you after this is that you should name this to battery 2 because this is now battery 2. And then you have to make sure that the motor is there. Okay, if the motor is not there, that means you moved one of them by itself. Okay, but no worries. If you do mess it up, then you open the plugin back. You go to create Motor6D. You choose G1 as part 0, part 1 as the switch, and part 1 the pivot point as G1B. So the pivot point. And then you name them battery 2. You put a velocity to the motor. So if you click on motor, you'll see like in the properties, you'll see like max velocity equals 0.05. Make sure you set that if you create the new motor. Now here okay, the video is moving too fast. I'm sorry. Here I go to MFD UI. It's under seat, and I find the UI for the button, which is called battery 2. Now I have to set the other knee. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but that's what it's called, other knee. I have to set the other knee for battery 2 to the new part, the new battery 2 part that I've just created by copying and duplicating from the first battery. So that's what I did. Once you delete the switch, the UI will be reset. Like the UI will be gone. So you have to reinitialize the UI once you create a new one. So, okay, if that was confusing, let me explain it now just a bit more. So we had a battery 1, right? We had battery 1, and we placed it on top of here. Okay, we placed battery 1 there. It's all good. We didn't delete anything. We didn't do anything. Then what I said was, well, battery 2 is down here, and I don't want to do the whole process again of like lifting it up and rotating it and moving it to the right. Like that's just too much work. So what I say here is that I have the battery 1 here. I duplicate this battery 1 and I put it next to the previous battery 1, and I name this new switch that I just created battery 2. Okay, and since I created this battery 2 switch now, I have to delete the previous battery 2 switch that I had before, because you cannot have two battery 2 switches. That doesn't make sense. You can only have one battery 2 switch, and I've just created that one. So once I delete the previous battery 2 switch, the other knee of this UI here, so what this is basically, you know how when you hover your mouse over the switch and it says like battery 2, that's what this is. So now that I've deleted the battery 2 switch, the other knee, okay, that's what it's called, is gone. It's now nil. Okay, and now I have to set it back to the battery 2 switch that I've just created. Okay, I hope everyone understands this, because if you don't, then you won't be able to do any conversion, or it's just gonna take so long to make the conversion. So here I write other knee. Look, it says other knee is battery 2, but it's not. It just thinks it is, but it's not. So we have to set it now, and I set it to the button. So battery 2 is the switch. So I set it to the battery 2 switch, and there it is. You get that blue square now. So now that we've put the other knee there, is it a huge problem? You know, is it a big problem that let's say I don't put the underneath, then you won't have the text, okay? And the aircraft will probably still work, but you won't have that text. So if you want to have that text, you need to know the step. Okay, that was a lot of talking. So now I just, continue talking about this. Then I create like, I did the whole step again. Now I create generator 1, generator 2, so on. Then I create, oh wait, I think I'm done. Okay, what am I doing now? Oh, okay, now I talk about how the animations are done, because I forgot to animate these things. Now here I talk about like the welding. Here I mentioned that like this rudder, the welding was not done correctly because this is not the main part of the rudder. So I mentioned that you shouldn't have that as the main part. You should have the main rudder itself as the main part. And that's what I do. I name it main rudder, then I weld the other two parts, and that's it. And I did the rest here. I create some Motor6D here. Basically just, this is how it's done. So the part 0, okay, let me talk, okay. So part 0 in this case is gear, okay. Part 0 will be gear. The gear B is the pivot point. So as you can see, it's the pivot point. So left flap is part 0, LFB is the pivot, and part 1 is the flap itself, the flap part in the animation parts. And if you watch the tutorial, you will see that that's what I do. So part 1 is there, and it works like that. And then I do the rest. Oh, okay, so I'll let you guys watch this part, because this is, yeah, I'll let you guys watch this part. It's gonna come, wait, and here it comes. I forgot to record my voice. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to watch that part. It's like I'm almost done with the video and I just realized I didn't record my voice. So yeah, God fucking damn it. Okay, let's mute myself. So here I have like this mental breakdown that I forgot to record my voice. What the fuck? But actually, I'm glad I didn't. I think this is better. Like this is gonna be shorter video. So alright, so I do more animations here. I talk about the ramp parts, and I told you that, I will create a ramp model in the rudder stuff. Okay, now I go back to switches. Now I create some more switches. This part I have my voice. So if you get confused, just listen to my voice in these parts. But I just basically explain the same thing. Oh no, my internet. Here I mention that I don't know what do I mention here. Oh, okay, I set this to ignition. Alright, so if you have 4 engines, then it's gonna be ignition, ignition 2, ignition 3, ignition 4. Here I do ignition and then I do ignition 2, yeah, because it has 2 engines. So if you has 4 engines, then that's what you do. You do ignition, ignition 2, ignition 3, ignition 4. Okay, very simple. And now you do some Adorni setting, fuel pump, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Okay, you won't need to do these parts. These parts will already be done for you. I just forgot to do it. Okay, here I talk about the motor 1. Basically, the rotate V, you need to... Okay, I actually explain this in here. Just watch the video for this part. It's nothing too complicated. Alright. Oh, okay, so here my dumbass forgot to add the UI text here. When I release the model, it will already be set, so no problem on that. Okay, here I do some testing. Here I realize that there's some more script issues, and I explained in the video why there's an issue. Just watch the video in this part. Alright, here I do a little testing, then I find out the problem that I forgot to unanchor. See, look, I forgot to unanchor this part here. That's what I realized in the video, and that's why the plane is not, the plane is not working. So that's what I've basically figured out here. And you'll probably have this problem too when you forget to unanchor one of the parts. So now that let me see, did it work? Okay, now that I see the plane has, fallen out of the sky, one problem is that the nose of the aircraft is in the air. Okay, and I explained that has to do with the plane mass. And here we go down, and what am I doing? Okay, those also have to be cancelled off the gears. Something I forgot to mention. Okay, I do some things here. Just listen, I guess. Okay, so I put the plane mass to the front of the aircraft now, and it's gonna go down now. And there we go. It's good now. Alright, we get inside the aircraft. We start and the plane starts spinning. Then I say like, oh wait, this is because of the plane mass and so on. And it's not because of the plane mass, it's because of the positioning of the engine. The engine is too high. It cannot be that high. It needs to be more to the ground. But this problem will be fixed. Okay, this problem will be fixed. So just ignore this part. Okay, this part will be fixed when I release the update. Here I mention about the graph. Just listen what I'm saying here. Let me see if my audio is working. Now, in the normal aircraft that you have. Yeah, okay. My audio is working. And that concludes the tutorial. So I hope it was easy. I hope everyone can now do the tutorial. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. And just watch the part 1, which is 2 hours, where I do the whole thing physically. And watch this part for summary.